Buffalo Bills enter Shea Stadium having lost 2 of their last 3 games, both to AFC East rival New England. Today against the Jets, they face another division rival and a team that has already beaten them. Due in large part to first-year head coach Kay Stevenson, 1983 has been a success for Buffalo. Stevenson, at 38, the youngest head man in the NFL, has his team in the thick of the division race, 1 game behind the front-running Miami Dolphins. One reason has been Joe Cribbs. Cribbs is as good an all-around back as there is in pro football, and so far 1983 has been the most productive year of his short but brilliant career. The same is also true of Bills quarterback Joe Ferguson. Ferguson, always regarded as a terrific pure thrower, has become a heady leader as well, and his 19 touchdown passes lead the AFC. Ferguson's counterpart is Richard Todd, and Todd has not been enjoying one of his finest campaigns. After throwing but 20 interceptions in the previous 2 seasons combined, Todd has already thrown 16 this year, compared with only 13 touchdowns. These figures have concerned head coach Joe Walton, and many feel that Todd's inconsistent play is the reason why Walton's Jets, picked by most to be Super Bowl contenders, risk playoff extinction in the regular season's 11th week. Game for the Jets, while for the Bills a chance to stay firmly in the playoff picture. For New York, there can be no turning back, and you can be sure they know it. From Shea Stadium, it's the Jets hosting the Bills in the NFL Game of the Week. The game began with an assertive defensive display by the Jets. Buffalo, despite the brilliant season being enjoyed by Ferguson, likes to establish the ground game, particularly with Cribbs, one of the most consistent runners in the NFL. But the Jets, generally considered a strong pass-rushing team, were ready to shut down the run. And shut it down they did. Bills' first 6 offensive plays from scrimmage were runs, and New York stuffed every one of them. When it appeared that Cribbs had room to roam, the Jets filled quickly. But 2 New York penalties dulled the spirit of this aggressive defensive surge and allowed the Bills to hold on to the ball. Finally, Buffalo's offense opened up. A reverse by tight end Tony Hunter, number 87, picked up 24 yards. And then Ferguson threw his first pass of the game on Buffalo's 9th offensive play. The toss was complete to running back Booker Moore, number 34, and a fine individual effort helped Moore gain extra yardage. But like New York, the Bills were whistled for 2 penalties, and their drive came to a halt at the Jets' 30-yard line. On 4th and 24, kicker Joe Danello was in the game to attempt what was certain to be a 47-yard field goal. The kick never came off. Holder Matt Koppler, the second-string quarterback, rolled right, looking for Tony Hunter. But Jets linebacker John Woodring was step for step with Buffalo's rookie tight end. The Jets' defense had done its job, while the special teams unit reacted well to the surprise fate. Now, what could New York's offense accomplish? Since the injury to Freeman McNeil, the Jets' running attack has been erratic. Against Buffalo, fullback Dwayne Crutchfield carried the early load, rushing for 37 yards in the first half. While Crutchfield bowled his way into the Bills' secondary often enough to give the Jets a capable, if not spectacular, ground game, Richard Todd, as has seemingly been the case all season, had trouble igniting New York's passing attack. Todd has been slightly out of sync with his receivers, and sometimes his receivers have been out of sync with each other. The Jets' defense continued to get the ball back for the offense, and occasionally Todd and his mates showed signs of life. But as the second quarter got underway in the scoreless duel, New York remained in its frustrating pattern. For every 2 steps the offense moved forward, they took 1 step backward. The Jets simply were not getting the job done offensively. When they needed 17 yards for a first down, they would only get 11. In addition, they were taking some crisp hits from a Bills defense that was matching New York shot for shot. Midway through the second period, the extent of the Jets' attack was 2 missed field goals by Pat Leahy. But then New York got the first real break of the game when Buffalo's Tony Hunter coughed up the football. Number 57, John Woodring, grabbed the ball out of the air, and for the first time in the game, the Jets had excellent field position. On 3rd down and 3, Todd decided to go to the air. His soft toss found Derek Gaffney, number 81, in the middle of the field, and the Jets converted on a crucial 3rd down play. At the Bills' 15-yard line, New York seemed to be in good shape to snap this scoreless deadlock. But once again, 1 good turn deserved 1 bad turn. Todd fell victim to the inconsistency that has plagued him all season, and the result was an interception, his 17th of the season. Chris Keating's shoestring grab ended New York's deepest penetration of the half. But Todd would get 1 more chance, and this time he wouldn't let it slip away. The Jets regained possession with 4 minutes left until intermission, and again began a march that took them into Buffalo territory. From the Bills' 34-yard line, Todd looked for his versatile running back, Bruce Harper, and found him all alone in the Buffalo secondary. The ball nestled into Harper's arms, and then the all-purpose performer juked and fought his way to the 1-yard line. From there, it would be very difficult for the Jets not to score. On the next play, Dwayne Crutchfield bounced outside, ran over Charles Romes, and coasted into the end zone for the first score of the game. The Jets led 7-0 with only 1 minute remaining in the half. Their defense had done an outstanding job containing Joe Ferguson, preventing him from adding to his AFC-leading 19 touchdown passes. Ferguson had been able to complete only 5 passes in the first half, good for a mere 35 yards. The final minute of the half saw matters move from bad to worse for the Bills quarterback. First, he was sacked by Kenny Neal, setting up a 3rd and 26 from his own 27-yard line with 40 ticks left on the clock. Ferguson still hoped to get a field goal out of the final minute. He didn't get that field goal. Instead, he got a good look at Jets defensive back Johnny Lynn racing into the end zone with his poorly thrown pass. Lynn's big play was New York's second touchdown in less than 2 minutes and upped the Jets' lead to a comfortable 14-0. A second look at the play indicates that a mix-up must have occurred between Ferguson and his receiver, for Frank Lewis, the intended target, did not come back to meet the ball, as Ferguson's throw had clearly suggested. Halftime had arrived with the Jets ahead 14-0. A tight first half suddenly exploded in New York's favor. The second 30 minutes would be a different story. In 1982, the Buffalo Bills defense was ranked among the best in the league. But so far this season, they'd acted like the maitre d' at a fine restaurant, escorting opposing ball carriers to the best table in the house. If the Bills were going to get back into this game, they'd have to transform themselves from gracious bell captains to belligerent bouncers. In the second half, the Jets would have good reason to complain about the service in this establishment, as Buffalo held the New Yorkers to no touchdowns. But the Jets were just as nasty when it came to special teams coverage. Buffalo continued to falter offensively, sometimes because of the Jets, and sometimes by their own self-inflicted wounds. Cribbs was uncharacteristically dropping passes early in the second half, but he would atone for this quite nicely later in the game. Buffalo's sputtering offense picked up much of its third period yardage thanks to Jet overzealousness and the little yellow flag. This key pass interference call was the first of several critical penalties against the Jets that helped Buffalo get back in the game. Of further assistance to the Bills in this half was the suddenly prolific pass-catching skills of rookie tight end Tony Hunter, number 87. Hunter helped the Bills get close, but then the Jets appeared to stop the drive when number 99, Mark Gastineau, cruised in for a big sack on Ferguson. Gastineau did a mild rendition of his usual post-sack strut, but it proved to be too early to celebrate. For on the very next play, Ferguson came right back with a rollout to the right that gave the Bills their first score of the game. Number 88, Mike Mosley, snared his third touchdown reception of the season to make it 14-7 Jets. Mosley, a backup until recently, is now a starter due to a season-ending injury to regular Jerry Butler. Mosley doesn't have Butler's speed, but he finds a way to get open. And on this score, his tightrope act at the base of the end zone was just what the doctor ordered for the previously ailing Bills offense. As badly as the Bills have been dominated up to this point, they had to feel pleased that they trailed by only a touchdown. And when the Jets fumbled the kickoff after the score, the Bills went right to work again. Once more, a crucial penalty came at an opportune moment. For the second time in the period, the Jets were whistled for pass interference, giving Buffalo excellent position at the New York 2-yard line. From there, Joe Ferguson wasted no time, firing to the corner for his 21st touchdown pass of the 1983 season. Suddenly, the previously downtrodden Bills found themselves in a tie ball game. Second-year man Byron Franklin, number 85, gathered in the toss that made it 14-all. Last year, the Bills' starting receiving unit was Jerry Butler, Frank Lewis, and Mark Bramer. Now the names include Hunter, Mosley, and Franklin. The Bills, playing with a revamped receiving corps, were still getting the job done, thanks to the one constant of the passing attack, quarterback Joe Ferguson, whose pinpoint pass to Franklin here beat Jet double coverage. Late in the third period, the score was knotted at 14-14. Buffalo, once floundering, had used some sharp passing and some timely referee decisions to climb back into the contest. The bewildered Jets, lock, stock, and barrel, had to be wondering what was going on. This was supposed to be their season in the Super Bowl. Games like this were making it a long Jet winter of discontent instead. There was still enough time to regroup, but New York would have to act, and quickly. The Jets finally began to get on track offensively late in the third period. But just when it seemed as if a touchdown was within reach, the Bills' defense would come up with a big play. Number 77, Ben Williams, picked up a sack to slow things down, and a good piece of pass defense by free safety Steve Freeman, number 22, saved a score later on. Bills' defense would play brilliantly throughout the second half, allowing no touchdown. As the third period ended, the Jets regained the lead only because of a 48-yard field goal from kicker Pat Leahy. New York was on top 17-14, but Buffalo intended to change that as soon as possible. Whereas the Bills' offense of the third quarter was short passes and Jet penalties, the offense of the fourth quarter would be Joe Cribbs, and lots of him. It was getting down to money time, and Cribbs was eager to get to work. While Cribbs was chewing up yards on the ground, rookie Tony Hunter continued to bedevil the Jets with key pass reception. The Notre Dame rookie would haul in 6 catches for the day, the most he had ever caught in one game as a pro. New York suddenly seemed powerless to stop the Bills, and the frustration of some painful penalties and the disappointment of the season were all starting to add up. A loss here would just about kill New York playoff hopes, and the Jets knew it. When a Buffalo field goal tied the game at 17, the Big Apple boys tried to come back. Instead, all they did was self-destruct, even further with their final and most costly turnover of the game. Wayne Crutchfield's fumble halted what had been a successful drive deep into Bills' territory. Buffalo could do nothing after recovering the ball, but then with 1:17 to go in the game, the Bills began a lengthy march down the field that would bring them their 7th victory of the season. It would be Joe Cribbs making most of the critical yardage in the clutch. There would be no drop passes now, no fumbles. Only Cribbs moving forward despite the best efforts of the Jet defenders. With 29 seconds to go, Ferguson sent Cribbs out on a halfback circle pattern, and the result was the game-winning play. 33-yard strike was Cribbs' 9th touchdown of the season and 3rd touchdown pass for Ferguson in the game. It made the score 24-17 Buffalo, and New York would not be able to match it. The design of the play was very simple. Cribbs released from his halfback position and ran downfield. Joe found himself in one-on-one coverage, and the defender was linebacker Lance Mell, number 56. Mell is a fine player, but he could not be expected to stay with a speedy Cribbs stride for stride. With no one else to beat, Cribbs blew past Mell and was open for the winning touchdown pass. The Buffalo win, coupled with a Miami loss to New England, put the Bills in a first-place tie in the AFC East. For the Jets, this season is just about over. But for the Bills, a team some had placed in also-ran status at the beginning of the year, things are heating up. Today it was the Joe and Joe Show performing its magic once again. While Joe Cribbs made the key plays in crunch time, it was Joe Ferguson sparking the Bills to 4 second-half scores, just when it seemed as if Buffalo was going nowhere. Well, this team is going somewhere now, and that somewhere just might be the AFC playoffs.